I hope you're having a lovely afternoon. Thank you so much for sparing time to join us on TV47. This is In Other News, the show where we update you on the current happenings from across the world. My name is Tracy Mokami, and today I have a power panel in place. Kawera Wagidenji.
Hello.
Leangari, it's been a while.
Yes, indeed. Hi, guys. How are you doing, Tracy? How are you feeling today? How is social distancing taking you?
Hey, to be social distance, hata sijui uko wapi.
Hapo ndio nimekuwa quarantine kidogo jamini.
Hey, muhimu sana. And for the first time on In Other News, anakuanga behind the camera, but today you put a face. Kevin Fraji, hi.
Woo, hi.
Nice to have you here. So, we had an alarming headline today in one of our dailies. 17 members of parliament are rumored to have tested positive for COVID-19. Kawera?
Where there's smoke, there's fire. It just can't be an empty rumor. So I remember even before Parliament dissolved kidogo 2 weeks ago, Murkomen had mentioned that some MPs had just returned from a foreign trip. So waka disband kidogo, but I think it was a bit too late because already washa mix in Parliament. I don't know, it's a bit scary because these are people who travel a lot. So you can imagine, kama ni contact tracing, the number of people that are going to be traced.
But Leah, does this come as a surprise to you looking at Deputy Governor Saburi tested positive earlier on, and we know that these people are in the same social circles? Is this a surprise for us as Kenyans?
I actually don't think it is. I mean, when you look at how COVID-19 is spreading, whether in Kenya or globally, it's the same trend. Someone had traveled somewhere, there was someone who actually has tested positive, and this means there's a very high chance of people who were around that person contracting the COVID-19 virus. So I think it was a good move to put on hold the parliamentary proceedings, and I think for now, we really need to take more steps. So they've tested positive, so what next? I think now tracing should start taking place in terms of who they've come into contact with for the past couple of weeks.
And I agree with you on terms of contact tracing, but what now is left for the country is just to wonder whether these measures that the president, I think we spoke on this yesterday, and our main question was, now that parliament sittings have been adjourned indefinitely, we have not been told when parliament is expected to sit again, what happens to these laws that are required to be put in place? Fraji?
I think the suspension of the sittings,
Quarantine. So it's about to
but they've been saying they've been self-isolating and self-quarantining. I think, Kawera, you'd agree with me on this one. Even getting guests to come for our shows,
It's crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy because wamekuwa consistently telling us we are self-isolating, we are in self-quarantine. It will be
Kwa nyumba.
like Tracy, me kama ningekuwa president, like right now, hao watu ningewapeleka pale Malalo wengine wanya pale Lenana school huko, ningewapeleka huko pia waone wenyewe life wao watu wanapitia. I'm sure hao watu no hapana.
But they can afford the 12k to be at
These
Boma.
people live larger than life.
It's okay. Hapana.
Who is going to sleep on a Form 3's bed? La whole MP.
By the way, haiwezi.
Wangeza chini waendelee nana pia.
But on a serious note, I just think that the government has to find a way to still put in place the structures that can allow us to continue creating more policies and probably just putting in measures that can safeguard the lives of Kenyans. Because look at what's happening right now in terms of transport. Transport is very much affected. We're looking at people being affected from moving from work to their offices, to their homes. How is this supposed to happen? Look at rent. What happens to rent? Are we supposed to pay the same rent we were paying a month ago? Understand? There are some things that we really need to look. I really pray that the government will do something to cushion Kenyans from all fronts.
I agree with you, Leah, and I don't know how wise or how unwise this would be. There have been calls for the government to make the list of these people who are COVID-19 positive public, just to help with contact tracing. if I forget, for example, you see, our legislators are people who really interact and socialize with a lot of people. So for them to be able to outline each and every person they were able to meet and able to socialize with might be hard. What are your thoughts on them, the government putting out the list of people who have turned COVID
But you do realize medical reports are a private affair.
I would actually agree with that.
But you see, the balance here is very delicate because we are looking at a scenario where we are looking to save lives. I think
that can still be
let me
done
tell
in
you something.
private.
I honestly would not be in support of revealing the names or the identities of people who have turned positive. I mean, look at HIV and AIDS. Back then, when HIV was so much of a big issue in the country and even globally, it was very hard for people to actually come out and say, hey, I've tested positive. Why? Because there's that issue of discrimination. So if now you find out, well, just giving an example, Njoroge Kamau has tested positive for COVID-19. It means if you see Njoroge Kamau, you run away. If you see Njoroge's family, you run away.
Well.
If you see his relatives, or children or wife, you run away. So discrimination will be a big issue. Let's just conceal
I
the
understand.
identities.
I don't know kama ni ukweli ama sijui kama. I understand Museveni alitengeneza list.
Yes, he has.
Alitengeneza list ya people.
But sasa hatujui laws za country yao kama ni similar huko.
Yeah, but because pia nilisoma the 17 people, the rumor that about our MPs
or maybe they
senators,
consented.
About the MPs, and I understand they are there, but now their names can't be revealed because of personal things.
You know, my main worry, my main concern on this one is, of course, the issue of the members of parliament not being able to write down a comprehensive list, for example, of everybody who they have been able to interact with, but also the fact that these are public figures. We've seen Boris Johnson in the UK. We've seen the royal family coming out to say, this is our person, this person has COVID-19. And I feel like it really gives Kenyans and the world at large a face, so we do not see these as a faceless disease.
That's their private decision, though.
I think so too.
Yeah.
Because let me ask, has anyone seen any other, like a common citizen being mentioned, their name?
Brenda.
Yes. Most
Brenda initiative.
Listen, it's either someone who is, let me tell you, if it's either someone who is in a very influential position
Or recovered.
Or someone
we actually saw on one of our media stations last night interviews with actual patients.
But they
have to consent. They have to consent to the identity being made public.
They have to consent. Yeah.
I think this is a whole discussion we can have, and privacy and which will never really come down to an agreement. And on the same matter, COVID-19 effects of the movement ban. Yesterday we saw how Kenyans were trying to use panya roots to be able to penya to some of these. Freddy, were you affected? Freddy,
So actually it was yesterday. Was it yesterday? I woke up mapema nikaenda hapo kwa mali the government ilisema ni kati ya Nakuru, ya Machakos na Nairobi. So I was there very early in the morning just to check. Like I was shocked. Actually that thing happened. Like those people were blocked. So nashanga mtu anafanya kazi analala Nairobi anafanya kazi Machakos. Now the distance actually, if you see the distance,
it's short, yeah?
Yeah, actually the this video that was trending.
I think we played it yesterday.
Yeah, motorbike. Like hizi and analala hapo na kwenda imagine.
Yani ako hapa lakini anaweza kumbaki kwa pale.
Hizi enda yuko hapo macha analala Nairobi.
But it's what we said yesterday. It's unfortunate, but it is what it is. Unajua leo anacheka but it's sad.
It's the way Fred is putting it. Oh God, by the way, I am very sensitive to people's situation. I think it's just the way Fred is putting it. It's really funny though, but we really sympathize with.
Yeah, actually at Kamulu yesterday, because it was one of the most conflicted restricting areas.
Yeah,
Jana,
yeah.
I think the CS Matiangi alifika na wakasongesha wakapeana ka grace
Yeah.
distance
Yeah,
ka
walisongesha at least
10
ka
kilometers.
kidogo.
At least watu
But you still you need ni bamba. Mimi ilinibamba. Umesimama uko Baria. So unasalimia mtu wako Machano huko Nairobi.
huwezi msalimia.
I'm really feeling
virus.
for Kenyans who, have you seen those memes that were trending? Yeah, this is how Kina Fraji they end up married. So someone came to visit you for the weekend kidogo.
Amefungiwa boda.
Kidogo, this person cannot go home. I think Kenyans have been affected. Nairobians especially have been affected immensely, especially people who move across the counties to be able to get about to their daily business. While it is very important that we are able to stay where we are, I don't know.
But I really must
off
commend the government. You know, the fact that they are not so strict on Kenyans to the point that they're not being understanding. I think what we saw with the cabinet secretary just talking to Kenyans and even talking to the media and saying, hey, we are not bad people. We understand the situation, and so we are going to make, you know, some room for special cases. But as the CS said, it depends on how special the case is. But I think it's commendable to the government to just see that they're being a bit sensitive to the needs and situations of most of the people who are affected.
I'm laughing because maski ya siasa ilikuwa hapa hivi.
Na anatuambia kila siku,
we cannot talk about this issue, lakini maski yake iko hapa hivi. Kenyans are like, sasa huyu. I think it was just kidogo tu ile mistake tu kidogo.
And speaking of masks, we've actually brought out something I really wanted us to talk about later on in the show, but now that it's here, have you guys seen these videos online where we are testing how effective the masks are?
Mimi nimetestiwa asubuhi na Lori newsroom. Aliyekuuliza yako ni fake. I don't know how true of an experiment is it. Is it true?
We are yet to confirm. No science has been put across. But when you look at the test, I think it makes a little bit of sense. I don't know, Leah, your thoughts on this one? Masks tuvae zile, where do we even get original ones to begin with? Naona watu wanavaa mpaka za kitenge.
Alright, you know, I'll speak in light. But the others are kitenge. This is what I did on Monday. I was speaking to the AMREF group CEO, and that's Dr. Githinji Gitahi, and of course also the consultant physician there, Dr. Samrat Shah. And basically, I asked them the question of the masks: is it safe to wear the masks that are homemade? And this is what Dr. Githinji said. He said the homemade ones maybe will protect you 50 to 60%. Not 90 over. But it's better than nothing. It's better than not having anything on your face. However, he also said the best masks are the ones recommended by the government.
Where do we get
the surgical ones?
Where are these masks?
Where do we
But
get
let me
them?
tell you, yesterday I went to a supermarket just there nearby home, and I think I when I got out of the car, I was in panic because there were so many people. So I had to go and ask the attendant there, do you guys have masks and stuff like that? So she says she has them. From what I'd been told is that they are retailing at 20 shillings, but there it was 85 shillings. So in my head,
85
I was
was
asking,
actually
You're
no. 85 is too much. Can you imagine someone who's working at Mjengo?
Have you seen any masks and at how much are they retailing?
No, I think they're taking advantage of the
100 bob na ni disposable.
and it's disposable. It should be at least 20 shillings, if not 20.
But
You know, I have seen on my way to work today, I really felt I was moved karibu nililie kwa traffic because you see this woven bags that we use za shopping watu wameenda wakakata woven bag wakaeka katika kama blada
An option. You can't afford 100 bob daily.
Let's hope that you know, going forward, because the government is doing something. Of course, there's local manufacturers. We're supposed to start manufacturing masks right here in Kenya. And guys, I must say, this we might be seeing COVID-19 in light of the negative effects. But really, if you look at the effects we're having now, when did you ever hear local manufacturers manufacturing masks? Most of the time, you probably hear us importing them, right? And I think it's a beautiful thing to see what the government is doing, just exploring the resources that we have in Kenya. And I think that, God willing, that the government will make these masks available and affordable. Because my concern is
good
for that.
timeline, good time, because looking at our numbers, we are rising. Our COVID-19 cases are rising by the day. Fraji, the ladies have overwhelmed you on this one. Your thoughts on this?
No,
How much did you get your mask for, Fraji?
Imagine, I have a neighbor. No neighbor wangu ni accountant. So me I was surprised he's selling this thing.
It has now become a business venture.
Job, like jobs imefungwa, ile design sasa una change career, hauna otherwise. Like everybody now is making these things. Now they're actually taking advantage of the situation right now because they are selling it expensive. Me this one I bought at 20 shilling.
All right, nice. So you hook us up with your supplier.
He was selling it at 100 bob.
Ama ni bei jirani.
No, anajua mimi ni mtu wa media.
Utamwanika.
So akule like bo cheza chini chukua na mbao.
Many people are making money from this.
Yeah, people are making money.
And I think this is the time we ask people, citizens, Kenyans, stuff. This is not the time. Where will you spend all this money without a world to live in if we all die from COVID-19? I think it's the shrewd businessmen and women out here at Tafadhali, yeah? This is not the time to try and profit from this.
Every man for himself.
God for us all.
God for us all, ndio.
Anakuambia, for sure, yeah?
But
I really hope we will be able to get some sense, yeah?
Another thing about these masks, the other day nilisikia president akisema that people are making it locally. But they were supposed to be given directive by the government on which kind of materials to use, nini to use. But right now, zishafika karibu kwa so tapia nini sasa kitenge sahi inashona mask. Kitenge.
Nakwambia.
I really pray. Kitenge yake yenye imebeat, anararua tu kidogo anatafuta blada anaweka anavaa.
Kidogo umematch shati na mask, yeah?
Na juu chini kwanza kwa mapua.
But they are vizuri. They look really pretty.
Yeah, they are good though. They are good.
Yeah, I really hope Kenyans will be able to rise above this one in due time. We'll be able to take up the measures as we're being directed to. Like I really mentioned something interesting and good to look at. Kenya is not really doing that badly off in terms of trying to get in terms with the effects of COVID-19. And the international community is actually looking at us and applauding us. The other day we had CS Mutahi being listed as one of the individuals who are really coming out as a sign of hope to their communities. And now we have Kemri really excelling, and still on the issue of masks, they are able to produce testing kits, actually, not masks on this one, because the masks are being produced at Rivertex. So Kemri has now been able to produce testing kits in mass. So we are probably looking forward to seeing more people being tested on the same. Did you see it coming, Leah? Kemri, ulidhani tutaweza? Tunawezana.
Let me tell you something. I believe, and not just Kenya, I'm talking about the African continent. We are capable of standing on our own 2 feet. In this kind of situation we're in right now, I think there's a capability from within this country for us to manage in terms of the resources we need. I think we have, well, what I've seen is most times we've always looked to the imports to actually, bring in the things that Kenyans need in the country. But I think in Kenya, we are actually able to manage. But my question would be, the government needs to really, really monitor how these, testing kits, the masks are being manufactured. Are the guidelines being followed in manufacturing or generating these kits from wherever they are being gotten from? I think that's the question now, because supplying them is one thing, but have they followed the guidelines towards manufacturing the testing kits?
I think
or masks?
last week on this show, Keith Atito was around and he was telling us Kemri is one of the biggest research hubs in the continent, not just within East Africa, and their standards are so up to par and global that there is that governments are looking to expand Kemri into the research hub and the center for research for COVID-19 within Africa. So I think on the issue of quality checks and standards, I am thinking we should be fine on this one. My biggest problem is, after this manufacturing of kits is ongoing, will we see people being tested in mass due to the availability? Because someone asked me an interesting question the other day, and aliniambia Jack Ma gave us 20,000 testing kits. so far we are told approximately, the last time I checked these figures, we were at 4,000 people are the number of people who have been tested. Na tunaambiwa bado it's a problem of test kits, you know. So it will be interesting just to see if the country will be able to benefit. Ama tuta export ziishe, you know, ama middlemen will come in the middle and try to akina neighbor ya Fraji huko broker and try to broker and sell these kits at unreasonable prices.
But I think it's a good step because initially what KEMRI was doing was not aimed at COVID-19. It just happens that COVID-19 came about, so they channeled their energy to fight to mass testing corona. What they were actually doing was mass testing for HIV/AIDS and tuberculosis. And then COVID came in the way, wakasema, let's first try out with COVID. So even after this pandemic has passed and the dust has settled, then I think in terms of other high-profile diseases, we are sorted.
Yeah,
we're good to go.
And on the same note, I think ultimately our goal is to be able to flatten the curve. And I think if you missed the episode where we were really trying to describe for you what flattening the curve means, you can find our repeat episodes on YouTube. But in the same breath, just to be able to flatten this curve, CS Mutahi Kagwe ameongezewa powers, Fraji. He will come to your estate and shut down your operations in the estate. I don't know what your thoughts are on this one, because
I highly support it. Let me tell you.
I'm in for it.
I actually mentioned it on Monday, and that was one of the major things I really wanted to highlight. And I think the media needs to explore, and the government needs to put in restrictions. Of course, talking to Dr. Githinji, like I mentioned on Monday, he says, well, you know, for him, he's not into restricting people all the way to their homes. He'd prefer, you know, generating that accountability where they say, you know, I know what's right, what's wrong, let me not do it. But let me tell you something. I've been invited to 3 parties. 3.
What?
Oh, wow.
Claire, who are your friends?
Let me tell you. Na mwenye alini invite kwa hiyo party, hizo mbili, yuko tu hapa kwa hii kampuni. Let me tell you. Anajijua na atajua. Let me tell you. Going to meet a very good friend of mine. The day I was being invited on the 3rd party, the person just told me, you know what, don't even dare go for that party. The first one I declined, second I declined, third one I was like, hey Bana, this thing
Where you sure you declined?
You know, and I actually declined to go because at the end of the day, that is still not social distancing. Whether you are in a house, you know, I don't know, Kenyans tunapenda kubreak rules sana. Tunaomba usidu hivi,
we interpret the way we want.
You know, so for me, I think the whole idea of the government going all the way to the estates is a good idea. Go find out who and who is having parties, how many people are in that
house. Are we mannerless? On this show we have repeatedly told ourselves
Kenyans mannerless by the way.
Wacha nikwambie Tracy. Unaona sasa hivi mchana utapata ukienda kwa estate ama anywhere just mali watu wanakaa wako indoors. Join job. Then inafika tu 7. Wanatoka nje na kama polisi wanafukuza watu. Trust me. Wanatoka nje na kama kuna mtu akutua hapo nje hii 7. Nani hao ndio wanaenda kwa hapo nje? Then wakaanza kupigwa kupelekwa mbio. Unasema hawa mapolisi wana abuse powers zao nini. Nani hao tu? But it's the mistake.
So you actually support the fact that we might actually experience several estates being, you know, movement being completely restricted.
Yeah, I
just think
actually,
we should.
Yeah,
because
actually,
it's better to do that than lose a life.
Yeah,
honestly.
Actually, like here at work, we are so like keeping that social distancing. But once you go home, unaishi kwa estate, your gate ukifungua, hujui ni nani alishika. Ukienda kwa staircases, the rails, hujui nani ameshika. So me, I'm in for that. Like, hata kuingia ndani ya plot.
I think I'm also in support. What the CS, however, said is the high infectious areas. So, kama kuna threats, why not? Funga, it's not going to be forever. It's for a period of time. And also, pia powers zingine ameongezewa is to declare. I remember Keith almost stoned me live on air on this show. Nikisema KU had the right to refuse to be specified as a quarantine area. But now that the government has said the CS has power to say this facility is going to be a quarantine area. I think now it makes sense. Now they don't have to ask, but before,
for sure.
I still take my stand.
I think right now he would agree with you now that he was almost quarantined. He's unwell. We wish him quickly.
My nephew was quarantined actually, but he tested negative. Right?
Yeah.
That's a good thing.
Yeah.
Mambo ya bash Lea aliitwa.
By the way, I think Fred.
But they atukone even the person who invited you. Invite pia ya
Fred. In short, let's get to contact list just in case.
I think Lea
to stay home.
Lea, tuende on a break. Utuambie chini ya maji. This part is how come we did not
My friend,
to tell us who you know.
I want to live for the next 20 years though. I do not want to die now. Thank you.
See you shortly after this short break.
Since late last year, the coronavirus COVID-19 has emerged as a serious healthcare threat. This is an infection that has gone global and no one has been spared. The government, through the Ministry of Health, has put in measures to keep Kenyans safe against COVID-19, which is currently rampant around the world, with new confirmed infections and death cases daily. Such sanitization and screening of visitors at this border post and across every entry point in the country is very vital in preventing the spread of the disease in the country.
I'm very happy about the screenings that are going on in Tanzania and Kenya. I think it's very proactive that you're thinking about stopping it at the border so that it does not spread.
It is scary that a single cough here can lead to an outbreak of epic proportions. In order to prevent that, the government has instituted measures to keep Kenyans safe.
The facility has all the equipments you need, from handling a basic patient up to ICU setting.
However, you also have a role to play in preventing spread of infections.
Citizen responsibility is the key to the success of this initiative and these measures. Let's all do what we have to do individually. And this is how we are going to defeat this disease.
It's just our general hygiene, okay? And that now means at workplaces, we should ensure that our work surfaces are clean.
Well, let's ensure that nimefanya proper sanitation ya mikono. Every time na board matatu, lazima ni sanitize mikono.
We have faced many severe challenges as a nation, and we have always found a way to rise above them. COVID-19 is no different, and we will overcome the pandemic. Stop coronavirus. Follow all directives from the Ministry of Health. Wash your hands properly.
Thank you so much for staying with TV47. My name is Tracy Mokami. This is In Other News. And in other news, so how do you say pwagu amepata pwaguzi in English? So police officers were arrested for breaking curfew. How interesting is this one, Kawera?
Very interesting, because I just want to know, is it fellow policemen who arrested them in the same area?
They were arrested by CS Matiang'i.
Who's lead? You know, it's crazy, but it's also, it shows you, like what we've said earlier, we are mannerless. We are just mannerless.
I'm really
policemen, unajua vizuri sana, your work is to enforce the law, but mnaenda mnajifungia kwa pub mnaanza kulewa. alafu ndio mgeni nini sasa. So actually the people who snitch to angry Kenyans. Sisi tukose kukunywa, alafu nyinyi mmejua huko mnakunywa. Kinalewa kose kwenda bash. Leo kose kwenda bash, ni kwenda bash.
It was actually a fellowship, We are going there to pray.
No.
Going there to pray.
This is about the party.
Yeah, that party was just, soft drinks.
Kama kanisa, kama nganga amefunga kanisa. Ni fellowship gani?
Speaking of fellowship and praying, I think we will be airing this Friday is Good Friday, and TV47 will be airing a service live. So usiende ku fellowship huko ukashikwe na corona. Lea, watch TV47 Friday.
But anyway, do you see the level of mannerlessness we have? Policemen who are law enforcers. I'd like to see, will they be charged?
I'm really glad that they were actually arrested in the first place. It really shows there's no one who is really above the law when it comes to this curfew. True. I don't know if you guys have found yourselves on the road past curfew time. These are roadblocks. Are you guys able? Najua tuko essential workers, but have you seen people on these roadblocks, and how is curfew being enforced where you've seen it?
Kama jana, our driver, the good thing about our car is branded. So first, that's a plus. Then now you have your press card to show that you are actually an essential service. But by the time you get home, umesimamishwa kaa mara 5. So I'd say it's actually working. I don't know if it's police are just looking for people to flex on, but they are doing their job.
Yeah, they actually are. I think I have met several police checks, and they were actually very professional, and I have not experienced trouble on the road. So I think tukifuata sheria, police are
but
not as bad.
Maybe Fraji atuambie kwa sababu wanaume nasikia watacharazwa.
Fraji unajipata hivi.
Unatuangwa. Really? The other day, like I forgot to buy, like I was at home, like I was off, so I overslept. So nikasawadi kubuy food. Alafu naamka around 7:10. So curfew imeanza nini. I had to go try look for food. Nilitumia press card.
Na wewe ndio utafanya essential service.
Siko ubaya.
Unajua alikuwa ametoka job late.
Nilikuwa nimetoka job late, nimechoka nini.
Kwani mlikuwa
unajua hiyo party ilikuwa kwangu hiyo prayer.
On the same day, actually our driver Deno yesterday was telling us how around Langata he found people wamelalishwa chini.
Really?
They're being flogged, and maybe you're with your wife or your girlfriend, she's crying, you can't cry. Mwambie kwa mwanaume ni ngumu, you can't cry, amekuangalia wewe fanya anything.
It's funny enough, like mnapatana mko wawili, then wewe ndo unalalishwa, dem amesimama hapo kando. So unachapwa tu, unajikukilia, so ukienda na dem mama kwa like ulikuwa unalia nini? Umenichomea. Unadai hard.
For me, my experience is very interesting because sometimes I do, of course, guys, I do the prime time. So when I leave work, it's probably 10:30 or 11. That time, and I think even some of my colleagues walikuwa wananichekelea and say, "Hey, bana, undiana all the way without anyone in the car." The first day for me, I won't lie to you, it was a bit terrifying. And then I think I'd been telling guys, I know COVID-19 will overcome. Let's just pray and just have faith. The day I drove into CBD and there's no one. It's like a ghost town, literally. I think for me, the reality knocked me so hard that night. I felt very emotional, by the way, because I'm driving. I'm like, what has the world come to? What has the country come to? And I drove for like, I think 15 minutes before I saw cops. They were not there. And then the thing I didn't like is the cops that came across, they were wearing civilian clothes and they were in a civilian car, meaning it had no branding saying these are, police officers or something. And then the worst thing is, they stopped me along Uhuru Highway, and I could see in the car there were many of them, like maybe 3 behind and 2 at the front, the driver and the co-driver. So the guy just starts to flicker a torch to my face. When in nani? Tuambie unaenda wapi? So I was like, media, nimetoka kazini, blah blah blah. And then they're like, okay, fine, Peter. I think for me that what was very weird is the fact that they didn't even get out of their car to find out who I am, or to ascertain if really I even had a badge. I just told them media, and they said what? just go. I found that I like what Kawira is saying, but on the flip side, there's that a bit of laxity maybe from some. Get out of the car and just check who this person is. Find out if this is even a robber. Am I doing some criminal activities at this time? You don't know.
So maybe also to our law enforcement. You see, last night, I was laughing in the car alone kwa sababu when I was stopped by the cops.
Confess. Saturday confession. You're gonna guess.
Saturday confession. Guess is right here, Leah. So what really caught this gentleman, the policeman who was stopping me on my way home, I think from the Don't Rush challenge uliona wasichana nywele tunaweka baadaye. So the cop was looking at my press card like this and like, what is going on? Is this your sister? And this really got me to thinking right now when barber shops and salons are really closed and all of you are looking all glammed up. Where are you getting your salon services and your your look good looks from?
DIY.
Okay, all right. That is what. Leah, the salons, the barber shops, and all these people. I have seen people do house calls. I don't know how safe these are.
Well, I don't think, first of all, let me tell you, I tried to go a week ago to my normal hairdresser just to do some lines and stuff like that. But I was so uncomfortable the whole time because the lady who was doing my hair, she's not even wearing a mask. She's laughing loudly.
She has to touch
She's laughing on my face, Yawa. I mean, I was very uncomfortable. So I was like, man, I'm not doing this salon thing again. I'm just going, either akuje kwa nyumba yangu anitengeneze hapa because at least hapo atakuwa na manners. You get? For now, I think everyone needs to take this thing seriously. Because for me to go to a salon right now, it's unless they're going to wear a mask. If you're not wearing a mask, you're not touching my head.
Fraji.
Yeah.
Unajinyoa, unanyolewa, what's going on?
Me actually, like from the word go, always have one person who shaves me. Like hata nikienda to that barber shop and he's not there, I won't shave. So hata nikienda na nimpate, I actually carry my own sanitizer. Now I have to he has to sanitize while I'm there. Now to me spirit. Everything that anatumia hata kama nikichana paka sanitize. Gloves anavaa. Yeah, anavaa. Then say kifikile time ya like kuna wale massage nini pia they have to sanitize.
I think it's interesting to look at especially this issue of house calls and how people are able to continue with their grooming, because I'm wondering if we are calling these people for house calls to our houses, are we not then exposing the rest of our families? And you realize these people also need have families to feed. These are actually essential services in some ways. You know.
Let me tell you, I saw my neighbor doing this. My neighbor, opposite house. She was seated outside, kwa field. You have like what looks like a gazebo. You just put a chair there, and then you call your lady to come and fix you from there. So it's outdoors, not really in your house, but
not confined spaces.
You get, and then now you still insist on wear a mask because it's on my terms. Listen, you've come to my personal space, so it has to be on my terms. But if you go to a salon, it can't be on your terms, unless now you'll create some kind of commotion in the salon because it's not your salon. Now, unless you have a salon where you can actually tell them, hey, that everyone who's here wear a mask, or you have at least a person who owns a salon who is very careful and responsible, doing what the government is saying, go there. But if you feel someone is not careful, tell the person, send me someone, akuje kwa nyumba yangu, let's do the hair from the house. That's what I
actually think it will be interesting just to be able to see how people will be able to adapt. Kawira, I know you did a story, I think last week or the week before, just trying to show us how the salon businesses and the grooming businesses are really suffering from COVID-19 effects. So it's really good to see people revolutionizing how they work. At least they are able to work from home, and like footballers when tuliona ni ngumu to work from home. How do you host a whole match from home? And
by the way, if I can mention, I saw this thing on CNN, basketballers, what they're doing right now, because you see they don't have games. So they have these live games online. They're what do you call them? The video games? And there's actually a cash prize.
That's
there's actually a cash prize.
Like they are betting. They have a bet. They're doing that betting stuff, so they are playing it online.
We have to make
another
do
player
with the
on the other
situation.
side. Yeah, that one is working though.
So everybody is making do with whatever resources that they're able to put their hands on. We are really saddened by the fact that the US has turned out to be the epicenter now of coronavirus across the world. Deaths are close to 2,000 a day. And the population that is really affected by this is the African American population. And when we remember conspiracy theories a while back that Africans we are immune, are we going back to Maji rebellion? What else? We keep ourselves safe. we are believing we are immune out of nowhere. And you see, the thing that really strikes me on this one is the fact that the inequalities, in health and other priorities that are given to the African American population in the United States and other parts of the world. I think I want to engage Leo on this one because I know, you are exposed in terms of just knowledge on how the demographics look like, especially in the Western world. What can the African American population do to protect themselves more now that the balance is tipped, away from their side?
Maskia kitenge.
Well, let me just say this. I was listening to this the address by President Donald Trump, and I think one thing I should mention from what I picked from the address is this: that we may not be accurate to even say it's the epicenter right now, because I think while he was talking, he mentioned something and said the numbers look like they are topping, but it's because there's mass testing. Now, there are nations that have not gone into mass testing. So the numbers in other nations might actually be more.
Higher.
So it might not be accurate to say that right now the US is the epicenter, because it's just because they are actually testing a lot more people, and then there's a lot more cases.
But I'm thinking until we get the numbers straight, until we are able to get numbers straight from other countries, it still remains, the numbers are the numbers. It still remains
let's say
highest.
The numbers are higher there, but it's as a result of the mass testing.
All right, okay.
If you listen to the speech, or basically what Donald was saying, if you look at China, well, he did mention, even the numbers we were getting from China might not be completely true. The numbers might actually be more.
And I think we discussed it yesterday, and how China is underreporting and misinforming the world across. And it will be interesting to just see how the United States and China has actually been able to lift the travel ban that was on Wuhan. The lockdown has finally been broken, and it will be interesting to see how now Americans are going to deal with this. Putting in mind that it is one of the superpowers, we will be just waiting to see how they will be handling the situation and how we will be handling the same situation right here, because it's world across. And on the same breath, I think it's important we have repeatedly asked the billionaires in this country to changa to the emergency COVID fund. And now that the committee says that this is a list that will not be made private. Watu wanataka wakitoa wanaonekana. We've actually seen some branding, zile donations zenye wanapeana huko nje.
It would be a good thing if we actually have internal by the virtue of being an African continent, our own donations, because on the same breath on what we were discussing about African Americans, there's still no scientific explanation as to why we have more African Americans infected.
Actually, there is Kawera.
A scientific one, because I was reading an international report, and they said could be underlying medical reports from poverty. And I stopped reading. I was like,
these statistics are actually Kawera. These statistics are actually true. The African American community in the United States has repeatedly been disenfranchised by discrimination and a whole host of other reasons.
So this is still on discrimination?
Yeah,
it's still discriminatory.
Yeah,
it wouldn't be prudent to even place, an explanation on why Black Americans currently have been cited as the ones most affected in the US. I think we wait and see. Of course, there's speculation that it's an issue of discrimination. We do not know. But I think as the days go, of course, even I asked myself, why, the moment I had Black Americans, but why Black Americans?
Exactly.
I mean, with the history of discrimination being there.
You know,
and
it's an issue of diet, it's an issue of access to healthcare, it's an issue of the neighborhoods in which most of the Black American communities live in. And I think, as you've put it rightly, Leah, it's a wait and see situation how the government there will be able to react to this. But I'm really pleased that Twitter CEO has given 100 billion, and that is just a quarter of his wealth. Raji, how much are you worth? A man has given 100 billion. It's not even half. It's not even half his wealth.
Tracy, do you want me to share my?
Declare
Declare.
your wealth on there.
You want me to make donation?
You know, this guy, where he comes from, he's probably a prince. You're here.
You don't know now. You don't know. You don't
My
know.
brother here is from Nigeria and also from Kenya.
But now,
My brother, can you tell them that you're a prince back at Kenya?
Where is your donation? Valentine is coming. Where is your donation?
actually, the action the CEO Twitter has taken, that's a really big, bold step, and I really urge also our leaders, actually, like in Kenya right now, these politicians. This is the time actually they can, like, instead ile kwenda kupeana unga moja moja kwa nyumba and taking pictures and share on social
And I don't know why they are branding.
Yeah, like I don't know
why they are branding the merchandise. Your person could have bought more.
The Bible says, like, whatever you are doing with your right hand, the left hand should know what you did.
But we love praises as it's human nature.
I think there's a thin line. Let me tell you.
Because no. I actually saw kidogo tu Pasaris branded sanitary pads products for young girls. Alafu ameweka uso yake hapo, and people were furious, like why would you do that? But it's not just her. Hata tukipewa unga, hata mkikuja mconnectiwe stima, our leaders have to take photos. We love praises. Don't you
and you see
Don't you? No, let me tell you, I think there's a thin line. If you look at the CEO, that's okay, because he's an influential personality. Of course, the whole world knows him. And I think the reason why they mention his name in this case is to inspire maybe other billionaires to come out and to know that there are other rich people who are also donating.
Put that way now, makes sense.
But now, we bring it back home. I'm not saying Esther Passaris doesn't have money, but I think what she did with the sanitary pads, in my own opinion, as a Kenyan, it was not necessary at all. We don't need to see your face on the sanitary pads. Just give them. If really you're giving in good faith because you're trying to help someone, you don't need to tell the whole world, I'm helping this young girl who needs pads. Did I need to know she needs pads? No.
I really like, Leah, what you're putting across here. Yes, but at least they are giving. Manu calls him Jamawa Kuku. Man from Sugoi. He has been trending on Twitter today. I think even yesterday. What are our leaders doing? What wamepotea tu? People who we used to call for harambes to give donations.
Quarantine.
Let me tell you, if this was the election period, money will be pouring right now.
I agree.
See, that's why you know where their priorities are placed. Because if it was to benefit them, then they'd be out giving the money. But now, because right now, I even bet most of them are thinking, how much money do I need right now? I need to save up enough for the next election. I need to campaign. Instead of thinking of the Kenyans whom they claim to serve. It's high time our leaders in government and wherever else who call themselves leaders, who are leading people that they care about, come out and give that money. Whatever you've put together for your campaigns, dish out some of that money and just help some Kenyan. There's someone in Kibera slums who doesn't even have enough to eat right now. They have to worry about their kids and everything. I think we really need to be sensitive to the people that we claim to be leading.
I agree with you, Leah.
Leah for woman rep.
Yay! And when you don't put your face on products.
So yesterday I saw this was an editor of Bonzo, the cartoons.
Animation. Thank you. So
so like there was this, like a Kenyan, it's a cartoon that imebeba the coronavirus stuff representing the Kenyans. Then there was one with the Ruto over there. Na alarm imesetiwa to 2021. Like it's sleeping. Like the corona is like, I'm here. Like Kenyans are there like, help us. And the alarm is like, I'm waking up at 2021.
Oh wow. You know but really the government has been accused, Kawera, of...
Yeah, like he's been silent though.
The government has been accused of tapping into dirty money to help fund the war against COVID-19. Do you guys care where the money is
right
coming
now?
from?
We don't care. Right now, we just deal with the situation. It's been dirty for so long. So
money is always dirty.
Let's just as well use it.
Yeah.
For greater good.
It's better than nothing.
Waheshimiwa tumewaomba tafadhali. Serikali
saidia.
Serikali. Now is the time, yeah. I think on the last note, MCAs in Kirinyaga County have decided they want to impeach their governor now, in the middle of a global pandemic. This is when they are looking forward to an impeachment. And the court said, si sahi, you guys will wait. There is nothing more pressing.
I
think after Kiambu governor was impeached, we all woke up. We're like, oh, so we can actually impeach someone from power. And then now MCAs and MPs want to flex. Like,
and I don't understand the politics behind Kirinyaga County, so I don't really want to delve into it. But I know a governor that deserves to be impeached, and I'm going to say this with a lot of confidence. Why is Bungoma buying jerry cans at 10,000?
You know, and this is not the first time Bungoma channel
wheelbarrows.
1 million.
Imagine wheelbarrow.
Ama wakwangi wakihesabu in Kenya shillings.
Na hiyo pesa kisi wa
maybe you guys maybe unapanga wakihesabu Tanzania shillings.
I don't know, but it's so sad that our leaders will still be corrupt at such a time.
Yeah,
and where is their humanity?
Yeah, I think we're going to plead again and again and ask them, tafadhali, this is the time to exercise prudence. This is not the time to be selfish with resources. And I think we are out of time, guys. But before we go, mtawezana. That is what is trending. Nimetafuta. I have been on the interwebs, I think, for the last 2-3 couple of hours before we came on the show, just try to find out what is happening in Kenya. And one of the memes that was going around is CS Mutahi is asking youths, please, to changieni maoni kuhusu COVID-19 solutions. Kenyans are like, utawezana.
But that lady, what's her name? Addis someone. She'll be on Bomba La Sana on Saturday with Tony Murigi. So kama watu wanafikiria kama watawezana ama watawezana, tune in to Bomba La Sana.
Na watume video zao
tuone kama wanawezana.
Tuamue kama wanawezana. Fred, utakuwa unafanya challenge?
Sasa tunafanya hapa na Lea sasa.
Sasa wanawezana.
But actually Tracy,
mkishaenda hiyo bash ndio mtafanya challenge.
Actually the challenge has really helped in diverting Kenya's mind from corona stuff. At least
ndio maana wasanii wanapewa pesa sisi
ndio wauliza kama mtawezana.
Tracy, actually mimi nimetoa ngoma 2.
Fred, we knew this was coming.
Mimi msanii niko kwa hiyo hesabu ya wasanii 1 million.
Sawa, tutakuona kando Fred utugawie, you know. But here it's peanut money when you divide it across all artists, because it's not just musicians who are getting a share of this money. It's actors, it's who else, Kawera?
I don't know. I'm sure.
Basically content creators.
Content creators.
YouTubers.
Kwa majina anaitwa Elisha. Mimi ni Mek. Hapa place yetu tumejaribu